If you're watching this video, congratulations! You are just about done listening to me talk for now. And you're about to move on to the note-taking step of the research process. All right, so what I do is I give you two different methods of taking notes, and at the end of this video, you're going to choose which method you prefer. There is note-taking by source, and then there is also note-taking by question. So before I explain what each one is, I'm going to explain what you must do on both of these documents. The first thing you need to do is you need to provide the author and the text that you are focusing on. All right. The next thing you need to do is you need to add your questions to these boxes. Now you can simply copy and paste the chart that you've already filled in or retype them, become better acquainted with your questions. If you have more than 3, which many of you probably will, then you are going to want to add another section to this table. A really quick and easy way to do that is to just put your cursor in the last box and just click tab. All right. Or if you don't want to do that, you can right click, insert row below, and it'll do the same thing. Okay. Then the last thing you have to do on both documents is you need to keep track of your sources. Different classes have different requirements, all right? But regardless, you should all be keeping track of your sources right here. Some students like to just put the title of the article, so article title, and then author, and then possibly a link, okay? What a lot of other students do is they like to just keep track of their sources, citations as they go. So what they'll do is on whatever article that you're doing, over on the right-hand side, on most databases, you'll find something that says cite, and it'll have the citation done for you. All you need to do is just scroll down and find MLA. I know they do this on Gale, I know they do it on Britannica, so then copy, Control C, and then go back over to your document, Control V, and then it's already there. And you'll probably have to, if you're crazy like me, edit it a little bit so that the font shows up so you can read it. And then when you go to do your works cited, it will be much, much easier. I don't care how you do it. All I care is that you are organized and you keep track of your sources. I do not want anyone to tell me, oh, I took notes from a source, but I don't remember where I got it, I don't remember the title, I don't remember the author. There is absolutely no excuse. Once you begin reading a new source, the first thing you should do is come to this document and put it here. If you end up finding it useless, you can just delete it, okay? But at least it's there. So that's the same, this is the note-taking by source document. It's the same exact requirements on the note-taking by question document, right? You need to do the same exact things for both of those. These first 3 things must be done on both documents. So let's talk about the note-taking by source document first. This is the first method of note-taking that I will allow you to do. So note-taking by source is exactly what it sounds like. You find a source, and as you read the source, you take notes. Okay. At the top of each, I remind you of a few useful things. So you're reading this source, and what I do not want you doing is I do not want you copying and pasting information over and over and over again. This leads to plagiarism, even if it's by accident. Okay, when you can, put things into your own words. So read something from your article, all right, understand it, and then on your document, type it out in words that you have processed yourself. So just for the sake of time, fact goes here. Okay, and then I want you to make sure that you include the page numbers. So this was taken from page 43. Okay, keep track of those page numbers. It will make citing much easier in the future. So as you're reading each source, each time you come up with a new bit of information that you think is useful for your research, you write it in this chart. So fact 1 goes here. You're reading, you're reading, you're reading. Okay, I found another fact that I want to include. Fact 2, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and this is on page 45. All right, and then you're reading it again, and oh, wait, I found another bit of information. fact 3 goes here, and that was back on page 43. All right, you don't need to go in order. The organization is up to you, as long as you are keeping track of your page numbers and putting things in your own words. If you think that there's absolutely no other way to say it than how the author said it, then just make sure you put it in quotes. That way, when you go back to these notes as you're writing your essay, you won't accidentally put something in your essay that is not your own words without those quotation marks. So that is note-taking by source. I provide you a chart for each source, all right? And then at the end of each chart, I ask you, how are you going to use this in your essay? It's important that you address this. You must answer this question. You read source 1, you take notes, and then I want you to look over your notes and decide, how is this going to be useful for my essay? All right, and you do that for all of your sources, and make sure that you pay attention to the different requirements that you are assigned for the research paper. Some classes are required more sources than others, and also make sure you know exactly what kind of sources you need to be using. The next method of note-taking is note-taking by question. So rather than organizing your notes by source, you are instead going to organize your notes based on the questions you have, and you're basing it on those guiding questions. So once you fill in these top boxes, you're also going to, again, type your guiding questions once more in each chart. So you would retype guiding question 1 here, and then you would retype it here, guiding question 2, guiding question 3. If you have more than 3 guiding questions, just simply highlight the chart and then copy it and then paste another one below. All right? All right, so let me give you some advice for how I would do this. I would still read each source one by one. So start with source 1, and you're going to read through source 1. And as you read source 1, keep your guiding questions in mind. And if you see something in source 1 that might answer guiding question number 2, so then you go to that box and you say, all right, this information is perfect for guiding question number 2. So here you're using source 1, make sure you put 1 here. And then here in this box, you're going to type the fact. So fact that is useful for question 2, blah, blah, blah. And make sure that you keep track of the page numbers here as well. So that was on page 35. All right. While we're talking about page numbers, I do want to tell you that I know that some sources will not have page numbers. If that is the case, you just do not put one. All right, so you're reading source 1, you're reading source 1. Okay, here's another fact that is useful for guiding question number 2. Blah, 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 and that was also found on page 35. All right, and then you're reading source 1, you're reading, and then you find a fact that is good for guiding question number 1. So then now you record that fact in this chart, right? Source number 1, and facts, blah, 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 and that was found on page 45. Now, please, again, do not feel like you need to go in any particular order. You might find a fact from source 3, and then you might find one from source 5, and you might read source 1 again and find more facts, and then source 6, all right? Don't feel like there's any particular order that you need to go in, as long as you're just finding information that applies to your guiding questions. All right, and then same thing that I told you before, if you would like to add another row, you just right click, insert row below or row above, or if you're on the final tab, you can just click tab. All right, so now that I've explained how to use each note-taking document, if you have any questions, the first thing you should do is raise your hand and ask for clarification. But if you do not, you should go ahead and decide which note-taking document you want to use for your research note-taking process. And again, raise your hand and let me know. And you'll find these documents on Schoology, so you'll only need to use the one that you are using. So if you are not using note-taking by question, just ignore it, and vice versa. If you are not using note-taking by source, then just ignore that document on Schoology. You only need to fill out one of them. All right, happy researching!